This is Mile High.
Do I want to tell the story or do I want to show the message?
You've got a lot of work to do between Mile High.
The time has come where we can know
we have a responsibility, an ethical and moral responsibility.
We have to do it better in order to move people along.
Up, down, inside out.
If you get your mind right,
it is not. It is a receiver of thought. Because love is my first technique.
it's now time for the show.
Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, with the phenomenal Kim Thor-Adams, who will be on stage, not only rising up to mile high altitude, but like a couple feet higher on the stage. And we are so psyched to have her there. And we're excited to see you at altitude mile high. So if you're watching this or listening, because you're a subscriber, you hit subscribe to the podcast, right? You got to make sure you hit subscribe. Whatever way you're consuming this information, you know you want to be there live. If you've not reserved your seats, what are you thinking? No one likes a procrastinator. Just rise up to milehigh.com, reserve your seats. We'll see you at altitude in just a few weeks. Dr. Kim Thor-Adams is one of my favorite people. Not only is it second generation chiropractor? It's second.
Yes, sir.
Not third. All right, second generation chiropractor. So she grew up knowing about the benefits of chiropractic. She received her education from Palmer College, and she currently receives in Nebraska. Okay, and oh man, Nebraska really beat up CU at the opening.
Yeah, we did.
It was bad. It was just painful. But she's from Nebraska. We won't hold that against her. And she just had her second book, Growing Up Fearless, written with the hope that all children be able to experience natural healthcare without governmental pressure. Oh, we don't like governmental pressure. And speaks out about those things. So we are grateful to have you at Mile High. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Kim.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is a fun one for me. I like it.
Yes, it is fun. So first of all, let's help people get to know you before they see you in person. They might know you online, but you're a second generation chiropractor. Say a little bit about what that was like for growing up with chiropractic in your household.
Yeah. We weren't scared of disease. We weren't scared of fevers. If we had a fever starting, we got adjusted. If we got the sniffles, we got adjusted. If it was Tuesday, we got adjusted. We played outside in the dirt. We were breastfed. We didn't really go to the doctor unless we needed a piece of paper for school eventually. It was just a lifestyle of not being scared to get sick because that's an opportunity to get healthier kind of a thing. We were, smart growing up. And when we got sick, we let the fever ride, and, it was seen as different that we wouldn't take medicine. So I guess I always grew up knowing that being different is okay. And I think it helped in business, but you don't doubt the power of chiropractic when you've seen it like that.
Yeah. I think someone wrote a book about that. Life maybe without something that might be a popular chiropractic book, I think.
Might be 4-letter word. Yes.
Well, and that's vital. It's funny. I grew up half as a second generation chiropractor, half not, because my mom went to chiropractic school when I was a teen. And it was like this whole turnaround of all the things she said of, your body heals itself. And this was a new thing. Oh, we're not giving it, it was just this whole transition that was actually, obviously changed my life. So grateful to have you here. And why do you loved being at Mile High? I think it was 2 years ago. I don't remember what year it was. How many times have you been at Mile High?
So my first one was when we had to wear the mask at the hotel, sir. That was super fun with my red lipstick. So I think that was 2020. So this will be my fifth one. And I spoke 2 years ago. Yeah, no. I know. And I spoke 2 years ago for the Matrix one. That was pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. We got kicked out of that hotel. We couldn't go back after that. Right.
Oh, sorry, not sorry.
I agree. Same thing. So
my mask that year was a beard hairnet.
Yes.
I probably didn't help your situation.
It's okay. You were not the only one. And, we've gone to better. So 5 years. What do you love about being at Mile High?
The feeling I get when I go to work, when I get back home, it's like I just want to make more of a difference in the world, like to put it in a sentence.
Well, I love that. I love having then you. I bet you do make more of a difference when you get back, and that kind of goes along with something you told me, which is that you said your favorite quote is "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail." And that seems to resonate a lot with chiropractic. Why do you love that statement?
It inspires the unique bravery, different part of myself. Because what's right is not always popular, and what's popular is not always right. And so sometimes with what I believe and what I choose, it's not the popular opinion. So you have to go where the path may not lead, and I had a realization years ago where I was like, wow, I grew up getting adjusted. That's different. Wow, I grew up not getting vaccinated and having to sign a paper to go to school. Oh, that's different. I grew up having a baby at home. You know what I mean? It's just different. So that just lets me know that even though it is different, it's still great. And because that's me in a nutshell, I have to shout that. So thank you for letting me do that on your stage, really.
I love it. I love it. So, you probably found yourself more. I'm assuming, but I don't think I am assuming. You probably found yourself in the last 4 years having to stand up a little bit more for your rights than prior years. Would that be
Yes.
safe to say?
You could say that significantly more, yes.
And what has that been like for you?
Well, there are days of steam comes out of my ears, and there are days of, whoo, we did it a little. And there are days of, where can I go and raise my hand and ask questions? And there are days of, is it going to, happen again? And there are days of, I'm glad I'm educating my patients well, because you could count a really small number that, appeared to be scared of disease. So, I was very fortunate in my state to be deemed an essential worker. Woohoo. Sorry, you guys weren't, but
Oh, it's so
without
painful.
within the law and without the law is what I'm going to say there, BJ Palmer. However, I do feel like, I was glad that I would have had a hard time if I wasn't. We sent our kids to the public Montessori school without a mask on. We were able to do that given the steps I took. It was fairly easy, and it's Nebraska, and every state was different. And in some places people couldn't, but, most people didn't even try. Most people just said, okay. And so, a fire got lit under me because it was very personal, because it was my children in school. I was a mama bear. It came out like a lion more than it ever has. And it affected me, I think, more as a mother, but also, of course, as a doctor too. Like, if I were to say, have anything flying in the air that enters my system, and my system is having trouble adapting, and therefore I get a fever in response to the trouble adapting, the first thing I would want as a person, as a human, is to get a chiropractic adjustment specifically and thoroughly, so that the brain can communicate to the body, and the body has the best chance at healing and my optimal potential. And so I had no fear of people calling me, hey, Kim, this is what's up. Can I come in? Yes. Hey, Kim, I have this. Can I come in? Yes. Oh, my kid has a fever. Can I come in? Yes. I mean, what would I want for myself and my children in that situation, in that moment? I would want a chiropractic adjustment first, always. So I was glad I was able to give that to other people. And then you talk about the Palmers in the basement with the Spanish flu and the results of all of that stuff. I do feel like there's literature about it, that chiropractic had a dent in it the last time there was a significant pandemic of sorts, and that should be shout also, because no matter what's flying in the air, it's about the host and the adaptation of the host. And if chiropractic makes a dent in it, it makes a dent in it, period. So.
Well, I got to say, I'm like getting chills. I'm very excited to see you on stage at Mile High already. Just from hearing that, what are you going to be sharing from stage? What do you think you're going to be focusing on?
So I was trying to figure that out.
Like a little bit.
I was trying to figure that out. And this weekend I get to go to Chiro Fest, and I've never been, and I'm excited. So I think I'm going to use my downtime to just refine my rough draft presentation for your stage. But I feel like, what would I want to hear in the audience? And I recently spoke at Life West. They opened up one in Nebraska, which is so cool. So I spoke to the students, and I feel like what they need to hear is that you can be great and you can make an impact. And here is how I did it. And here is how you can do it too. Philosophy, business, branding, marketing, communication in 52 minutes, or however long you let me have. So that's the goal. I'm a cash practice. I don't take insurance. I'm the most expensive in town, and my results back it up. So I feel like that mindset needs to also be thrown out into the world, whether they're students or not. I don't care, and there was a chiropractor I spoke to recently, 20 years my senior, and his adjustment is flawless. And he said the word economy to me, and you can't blame it on the economy. You know what I'm saying? Because chiropractors thrive irregardless. And if you're not, you can't say that word. And that bothered me, because you have to have the mindset of, I am that great and I am that worthy and I am, a magnet for those numbers and a magnet for helping the world so much that I don't have to think about those numbers. I just think about helping the world and they come. So I'm tying in everything I know pretty much.
There you go. And, I always taught you make your own economy.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And especially when you're in a world where I think there's a lot of people in your town that probably never heard of chiropractic or never went to a chiropractor. There's probably just a couple, maybe.
A few, at least.
Yeah. A few, right? And I don't think there's a shortage of spines distorted as far as I know. I was so upset when I first moved to our town, because other chiropractors, particularly other chiropractors, and I thought they were my mentors. So I looked up to them at that way, and they said, you really shouldn't open here. There's too many chiropractors. And I thought I really got disheartened, because I was like, really, you're telling me that? I looked up to you, and how could you think that? I think, I still think when I come in, I've been practicing for 25 years. I have people that come in and that have never been to a chiropractor before. I'm like, well, I've been here 25 years and there's still people that haven't been to a chiropractor. So I guess there's not too many chiropractors as far as I can tell. So that's why I was like, we're going to put on Mile High. So like more chiropractors get attracted to the area and start actually doing more chiropractic. Right. So there you go. And tell me some of the things you're up to. I know tell me about your last book that you just did. And then before that, we'll see what's coming up next.
Yes. Okay. So my book is called Growing Up Fearless. I grabbed people like Ben Tapper and Cindy Shaft-Toll and people like Heather Wolfson to comment on what it was like as a second generation chiropractor growing up without fear of disease. So there's a lot of intro of that to paint the picture for what chiropractic does so that they can hear it from someone else, because it really is true. And then there's the story of why I wasn't scared when I got the email that we have to mask the kids, and how I was able in a public school to keep my kids out of a mask. And at the end, there's a little bit of let's change the world together. Please help me on my mission type of stuff. So it's a very good book.
Good. And where can people get that?
Amazon.com, Growing Up Fearless, Dr. Kim.
There you go. I think I've heard of that Amazon thing.
Yeah, it's a little popular these days.
Well, there you go. Okay. And then secondly, what's coming up next for Dr. Kim, other than, being at ChiroFest and Mile High? What's next after that?
Yes, after that, I get to speak with the Warners at the Wellness Parenting in Arizona. I think it's the day after Halloween. And then I have my own pediatric conference. I'm so excited about it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I know, right? I'm freaking out a little. I went through Courtney Gowan at Wonderlearn, and it's at the beach January 31st, that weekend. And it's in Miami. And I'm going to actually teach tactile adjusting skills for pediatric care. I'm a big Gonstead practitioner with adults, and you can't do that to a baby, but you can adapt the angles and you can adapt the tension and you can adapt the torque and you can adapt the angles to fit a pediatric patient. So I don't really have a name for it. It's just Dr. Kim style, like only Gonstead does Gonstead and I do Dr. Kim, and that's what it is. And only you do whatever you do, but I want to teach people the skill to get the results, because it really can make a baby healthy.
Well, I think healthier babies is a good outcome.
I think so too.
It's something that we probably as a culture should strive towards. Now, with that being said, last year at Mile High, it was like super, the whole thing was exciting, but it was super exciting that Kennedy was there. That was like a huge, super, I still can't believe that actually happened. Somebody said to me, could we have Kennedy there? So I don't know. So I started reaching out to them and he was there. With that, I know big pharma is a big concern to you and to me, and to, I think, every chiropractor on the planet's concerned about big pharma. Yeah. Why is that one of your favorite topics?
I don't know if you want to use the word favorite, but
well, I guess you don't like big pharma, but it's something that maybe gets you riled up.
Yeah, I feel like since this is the land of the free and the home of the brave, supposedly, there should be a freedom of choice. And there are exemptions in some states, and you can push for things in some states that allow you the opportunity to be free and to use the rights that you have to stand up and say no thank you to things that big pharma or the government or both, or who knows, might be pushing. So I like to hold on to that freedom to say no thank you in the land of the free. And I feel like if, marketing were the same for natural health as it is non-natural health, and the popularity of natural health was the same as it is non-natural health, the world might be healthier as a whole, given the choices that they make. And the influence that big pharma has is so substantial that I do my best to try and do what I can. But I feel like lately I've been on a mission to make bravery contagious, is what I'm saying, because I would like more people to be as loud as I am about it.
That would be good.
That would be good.
Or maybe even just half as loud would be good.
A little bit.
A little bit
more.
Yeah. Bit by bit. Well, that would be good. Now, when you do this retreat that you're doing,
yes,
what's going to be the focus?
Pediatric adjusting. So it's a workshop. Feel the
Not as much lectured as a workshop.
Not as much lectured, set the ground. But yes, back in the day, they used to feel pieces of hair through paper, old school.
I had to do that in school.
Yeah, right. They don't do that much anymore. So like feel the sand through your, what's that?
That's just how old I am.
How skilled you are, okay? But to feel the sand through your fingers, smash your fingers together, feel the energy of it. Put your hands out, and can you move your elbow while keeping your hands in the same place, torque things. Because, as you move your hands on an adult, you have a little bit more motion. When it's a baby, you're talking like you don't even want to move till 1 o'clock. You want to move to like a fourth of 1 o'clock with that skill. So, finger adaptability, because it really does make a difference in specificity that way, and I learned a lot about communication over the years. I can't say, bring me an ear infection, but I can say babies come to my office with an ear infection and they leave better able to heal. So that kind of thing for communication with your patients, and that kind of thing for marketing online. I just want to make chiropractors more refined to help babies better.
Well, that's a good thing, because communication is pretty darn vital in chiropractic. So, and people mess up their communication, and then they're actually going towards practicing another healing art without realizing what it is that they're saying. And then they're, not really giving a chiropractic story, but more of a medical story. So, that's a vital distinction. So I'm glad you're helping people with communication around that. So now after that, I think if people want to get more assistance from Dr. Kim, how do they do that?
Yeah, so actually at Mile High, right afterwards, I'm opening up 2 private coaching spots. And I just had a new chiropractor join my practice. So I've had it on pause. And the ones that I have done are doing so well. And it's like my favorite thing to make such an impact. So after Mile High, I'll be opening up 2 one-on-one coaching spots, and you pretty much get me all of the time.
Wow.
Any questions? Yeah, I know. I have a framework for it, but it has to be individualized because not everyone needs the same thing. So my expertise is pediatric chiropractic, standing up for yourself, starting a business, marketing in your community, communication with patients, branding, all the things that I've done, I've written down and systematized, and I want to help others. So.
Well, that's good, because when you help others with practice, what do you end up helping? You're going to help other people get more care, or more people get care and through those practices. And I think people need just a little bit of help with that, if not a lot.
Yeah. You never know how far reaching, let's go do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, something that might help more people is, you practice for a number of years. You're 2nd generation chiropractor, a little bit of knowledge and wisdom just from that, in addition to what you learned from school. And you have 1 kid or 2?
I have 3 now.
3. I can't keep up. So running a practice and having 3 kids, what are some lessons that you learned through that to help chiropractors that, especially female chiropractors, but also male chiropractors, juggling family, raising kids, and running a business?
Yeah, the more closer I get to my children, the better intimacy can happen in a room with a patient. If you see the patient as your own child. So that's like in the practice, how I try to adapt that. I feel braver to speak my piece to parents about children because I've done it myself as a mother. But, people ask how to find balance, and I don't think the word's real. But I do think that if you wear one hat at a time, right now I'm a podcast interviewee. Later, I will be a chiropractic adjuster. Later, I will be a coach. Later, I will be a mother. At all times, I'm wearing one hat at a time to live in the moment, to decrease overwhelm, to focus on what I'm doing, there are chiropractors that on a coaching call will talk about divorce. If that's the case, the moment before you go next to the table of a patient, get that out of your head. Focus on what you're focusing on. If the Palmers were in front of you, when you step up to that patient, are they going to be ashamed of the thoughts in your head? I mean, that's where I'm at. You need to center yourself to allow your hands to be calm and peaceful, and in the moment to have the best intention to have the best impact on the patient.
Well, and that in and of itself is an art.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, look, I want people to have great skills with their adjustments and what they're doing with their hands. And beyond that, you can have all the right angles, right listing, right positioning, and all that stuff. But if you're not present with that person and what's really going on with them, you're not going to be as effective.
Yeah. It's right. Mm-hmm.
And sadly, people don't necessarily realize that or prioritize that as much as they should. So
yeah, and it's like if a family of 4 walks in to my cash practice right before lunch, am I going to be at all hurried that I'm not going to get to my lunch plans on time? If a family of 4 walks in right before I'm supposed to go to my kid's soccer game, but the door is not locked yet, are you going to be in a hurry? When the lobby is full, are you going to be in a hurry? When the baby's screaming at you, are you going to be in a hurry? You have to learn to close your eyes and tone out a screaming baby to help them as best as you can, because sometimes they stop screaming right after the subluxation releases. You have to learn to focus, and that's a personal thing too. And I was on a She Slays podcast. I love that Lauren. She's so good. Brunswick, that's her last name, and we were talking about it, and like, you absolutely have to be focused. If you hiccup and worry about the things you're going to say, it won't come out as well. But if you're living in it every moment and you're so present about it that there's no hiccup, there's no guess, there's only confidence and certainty, they're going to trust you even more because they're going to think you know what you're talking about.
Well, and that certainty has to come across. And what you see is that doesn't really happen as much in new grads because the chiropractic gets educated out of them. So then that certainty isn't there, which then comes to the next thing I wanted to ask you about, which is purpose. So as a chiropractor, maybe this is not true, but to me, okay, there's even more importance of purposefulness. I mean, purpose is important in everything you do, but I think a chiropractor, that purposefulness even has to be raised a little bit higher, or I would like to believe that that's the case. How can you say something about what it means to live with a meaningful purpose?
Yeah, it's really every moment. Like, okay, this morning, my daughter loves to wake up at 6 because she wants to go to school and it's a little too early and she always has downtime. But she comes into my room and says, Mommy, it's 6 o'clock. Can you start my shower? She's 9.5. She can turn the shower on herself, right? But I want her to remember that her mother was there in the mornings to turn on her shower. So as tired as I am, I wake up, I start the shower, I make sure she has a towel. I say, you good, baby? And then I might go back for 20 minutes, or hopefully she takes a shower until I got to wake up the other one because I really like my sleep, and there are some mornings where I wake up, but it really does start first moment of the day intentionally in your head. If you're not able to know yourself well enough to know what your very first thought is in the morning, you need to work on that right now, and then after I take them to school and make the peanut butter and jellies and I go back to actually get ready to come to the office, it starts in the mirror. Like, it's amazing the things you realize you're telling yourself as you brush your teeth. If you're telling yourself nothing, you're too tired. Take better care of yourself. If you're telling yourself things and they're not above the line, they're below the line things, it's going to drag you down. If you're telling yourself, here I am a stinking superhero ready to go slay some stinking subluxation. And here we go. And by slaying this subluxation, we are going to change the world. We don't need no knives. We don't need no needles. We don't need no meds. We don't need no nothing. What we need is no interference and our hands as chiropractors to walk into the room and change the world. And here I go, and watch me go. And I'm going to drive my fancy Lexus to the office, get a dry got through, coffee on the way, like whatever pumps yourself up. There's this little girl on YouTube I love so much. I love my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good, and that's like a 5-year-old version, but you can do that. You can be your own cheerleader, and you have to empower yourself because nobody else is really going to do it for you. And if you don't believe it, if you don't think you can, then you can't. So in the mirror, in the morning, know what your purpose is. Now, when I go to ChiroFest this weekend, people always ask me to adjust them, and I take it as a compliment, but I'm not focused on going to be a subluxation slayer. I want to be focused on my intention for the weekend as a sponge, as a planner of my marketing online after the classes are over, as a who will I see that makes me smile and lights me up? Let's change the world together. You have to intentionally see things happen, intentionally know what you want out of things, and make your thoughts according to that. And that silly reticular activator mechanism, that whole mouthful of things, like when I see something I've been thinking about, it's the brain, right? So if I'm not set out to see things, I might miss things. And if I expect surprising things and opportunities to happen, I won't fumble the words when they do happen. So preparation to be intentional about your thoughts can make or break and change all of your days.
Right. Right. Oh, so important. So important. And here's the thing, that purpose has to be drilled into people. And I have to say, that's what we put on Mile High. I got so tired of Department of Transportation physicals as the CE that was being offered in the state, as well as, whatever other kind of, you can get CE for this knickknack that you put on a person's spine. And I was like, the only thing being advertised, promoted, because, you get them all in the mail. I said, look, I want to actually go to something that actually has chiropractic in it. And if I have to be the person that puts it on, well, then guess what? I'm going to be the one that puts it on, because there was nothing else happening that's anything that looked like chiropractic in the state. And it was so funny when we sent the first time, we sent a postcard out, someone posted the postcard. I didn't know the person, posted it on postcard on Facebook, like took a picture and put it on. And they said, finally, something that's chiropractic in the state. It made my day. I still remember it happening, obviously. But, taking massive action is part of living with purpose. And more people need to do things what like Kim is saying in their town, so that they raise up the vibe rather than say, what? There's too many chiropractors in the town. There's not too many chiropractors. Do you ever feel like there's not enough, there's not like a lack of patients?
How can I put this to you? I really only think there's typically about one Ferrari dealership in a city, maybe two, So if your results are stellar enough, which they should be in your own head, or you're doing it wrong, if your results are good enough to be able to see yourself as selling the adjustment that is a Ferrari style, high level, thorough, specific, let's change the world, look at me, I can, here's my results to prove it adjustment, they can sell other brands of cars all day long, but will they be at that status? Maybe not, so it shouldn't matter to you. Right.
Exactly. So well said. Well, with all that being said, I cannot wait to hear what you say from 5,283 feet, 5,283 feet on the stage.
With the wedges. So it might be 4,
Oh, is that what it is? Well, you could get on his chair and then you'd be even like a little. Yeah. All right, there you go. So is there any last thing you want to share with our chiropractic audience before we see you in higher ground?
I mean, if you're watching this to think, should I go to Mile High or not? You will not regret it. I mean, it is worth it. I drive over 7 hours to get there, and sure, I could take a plane, but it's worth it. And I don't love long road trips, but you will not regret it. The things that you gain from it as a person are enough, let alone the things you gain from it as a chiropractor. And, silence makes it easier to take our rights away. And so I hope if you are coming, you get inspired by me and others, to use your gifts, use your talents, use your mouth, use your voice, use your skills to change the world, because it needs a little help.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
And I gotta say, you would be a hoot on a road trip.
Oh, that would be fun.
7 hours. I'm thinking 7 hours of Kim's got to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. If the kids are with, it's a little different. If the husband's with, this time I'm bringing the team too. So you never know. But
well, I'm saying you and your team, that's going to be fun. Right.
Gonna
Well,
be
I
very
look
fun.
forward to seeing you rolling into to Colorado. And
Yes.
if people want to get in touch with Dr. Kim, the notes will be along here along with the podcast, but drkimthor.com, and all the links will be there. I highly recommend you get her book either there or go to Amazon and do that. And I can't wait to hear more about your retreat. And we're so grateful that there are chiropractors like you, and there's no one else like you, but I'd like to see more chiropractors like you, if you know what I mean.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying. I really appreciate you having me, though. I mean, I feel more on purpose with opportunities given to speak in front of large crowds. It fills me up like nothing else, and makes me feel even more grounded, which is weird. But thank you for the opportunity.
Good. And we're so excited. Look forward to seeing you. Keep changing spines, lives, and minds with chiropractic. Look forward to seeing everybody who rises up to Mile High. So riseuptomilehigh.com. If you have not reserved your seats, then it's time to do it. Do it now. And we look forward to seeing you there.